Welcome to my new show, Into the Archives. This is where I delve into the library and pull out books to look at. So we're going to start with these three books, the Guinness Book of World Records. Now the reason why I have three of them here is I had this volume, 1978, on my bookshelf, my parents' bookshelf, all while growing up. Now it was this exact version of the Guinness Book of World Records. It turns out there's multiple versions of it for each year, at least there were back then. The one I had was solid black, and I cannot find another copy of that. But this is the exact same book in every way, shape, and form, except it's not black. And I got it as a set of three. Now, the significance of these is the first one, 1974, the year I was born. So I get to see the records from that year. Kind of, sort of. It's actually the records from 73, but hey. Then we've got the one I grew up on that I remember every page of, 1978, which would have been everything from 77. Though I don't think Star Wars is in here, oddly enough. I think it's in the next volume. I don't know. Is it? Am I just rambling here? It doesn't matter. That's not what I'm trying to get to. See, I went to elementary school starting in 1979, and I found in the school library they had the 1979 version. And there I was, 5 years old, in kindergarten. I don't know if I was able to read yet. I guess I could read. Yeah, I could read a little bit. What am I talking about? Anyways, I opened this book to see what are all the new records. And right here, in the beginning, was this picture. Arnold Schwarzenegger, reputedly history's most perfectly developed man. History's most perfectly developed man. To start off the entire book with this person is the most perfectly developed man in history. I was mesmerized. I was like, what in the world is this? This is, I mean, how am I living in a time with the most perfectly developed human being on the face of the earth in all of history? I didn't know. I didn't know what to think. I was like, okay, so this is what you're supposed to do in life, I guess, if you want to be perfect, if you want to develop yourself perfectly. So that was my first exposure to Arnold Schwarzenegger at 5 years old. I didn't know what the name was. I'm sure I couldn't read it at the time, but I was able to read this, and it stuck with me. So when I became a teenager, I started trying to exercise to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I would pick up anything heavy in the house with a handle, like we had an electric typewriter, and I would do exercises with it. Push-ups and sit-ups and long comic boxes full of comic boxes. Comic books, I would pick those up, whatever I could find. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I went to the mall, and in Walden Books, there was this. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. I got this in 1987, so that's when I was 13 years old. And I went through this book and I learned everything about exercising, what to do, how to do it, and why. And it's pretty interesting. Let me show you some of these cool pictures. So we start with the history of bodybuilding with Eugene Sandow, a circus strongman. Charles Atlas. There's Arnold at 16 years old. I'm pretty sure I learned all the names of the muscles and where they went from these illustrations for training how to draw superheroes in comic books. I love how it has Arnold's hair. Alright, that's a cool picture. This is pretty neat. Steve Reeves at 15 years old. Steve Reeves. This is awesome here. Frank Zane. Look at that. Very neat. It's interesting. He has a baseball inside of his arm. Look at this weirdness. Or not. That just looks bizarre. Like a dinosaur or something. It's gargantuan. There's Arnold with Joe Weider. So, it's a big book. So this kind of all starts with the circus. This is where you would see strongman acts. As you can see in this book, well, they just show strong women in this particular book, but these are the various strongman acts, or strong woman acts, these lifting of weights and feats of strength, these giant globe-style barbells, posing with the muscles, lifting people. That's kind of where it all begins, in the 1880s or so, in the circus. Then we get to Eugene Sandow. He was born in Germany in 1867, and he started as a traveling strongman. He put on feats of strength exhibitions, but he found that the audience were more impressed with his physique, so he added these muscle display posings to his performances, where he would basically flex his muscles. And in 1894, Thomas Edison even made a short film of him going through a series of these muscle flexing poses. He founded the Institute of Physical Culture, where he taught exercise and diet, and he produced books and periodicals on the subject, in which the term bodybuilding was coined. Now, Sandow, he would measure the dimensions of Greek statues, and he would build up his physique to match those proportions. This is the dawn of bodybuilding. And in 1901, he organized the world's first major bodybuilding competition. And Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, was one of the judges. Now, a bronze statue of Sandow is presented to the winner of the Mr. Olympia contest every year. This is Eugene Sandow's very first book, Strength and How to Obtain It, from 1897. This is an original. (1897). This is him measuring his proportions. He breaks down the calories in different foods. There he is, flexing the old triceps. My lion fight in San Francisco. Turning quickly before he had time to fully recover, I caught him round the throat with my left arm and round the middle with my right. By this means, though his weight was 530 pounds, I lifted him as high as my shoulder, gave him a good hug to assure him that it was necessary to respect me, and tossed him to the floor. Sandow's Schools of Physical Culture. He's announcing his new magazine called Physical Culture. So let's get to some of that. Here we go, the magazine Physical Culture. Now, in 1898, Eugene Sandow launched the very first bodybuilding magazine. It was called Physical Culture. But the name was changed to Sandow's Magazine of Physical Culture the next year, when another magazine, this one, was published and also called Physical Culture. It was published by a guy named Bernard McFadden. Now, he was the predecessor to Charles Atlas and Jack LaLanne in launching the diet, health, and fitness lifestyle trend in America through his publications, his healthatorium institutions, a physical culture city, and the physical culture religion called Cosmotarianism. Now, this issue is from 1909. J. Lambert Disney, President and General Manager of Disney Drugless Health Institute, Incorporated, and Viola Parker, Mrs. Disney, manager of women's department of the Disney Drugless Health Institute, Incorporated. Note, the Disney firm can be relied on to never advise drugs. I don't think they're related to Walt Disney. The Trudgeon stroke. That looks bizarre. Jesus as a physical culturist. Head and bust of Christ by Heck, showing shoulders of a breadth that would accompany a superior physique. Jesus was a bodybuilder. Nicholas Nickleby. A lady, her dumbbells, and her pantaloons. Iron workers of the sky. Check it out. An illustrated lesson in jiu-jitsu. Another lesson in the art of jiu-jitsu. Martial arts in 1909. There's some old-style weightlifting. Just a big boulder. Men of brains. Grape nuts. Grape nuts taste like gravel. Huh? Post toasties. The taste lingers. Welch's grape juice. Man, that's an old company. Probably as old as him. The twin grip garter for the man who cares. It attaches to both sides of the socks like this. And on the back cover you can become a mechanotherapist. Or mechanotherapist. Whatever that is. What is mechanotherapy? Or mechanotherapy is an art or science of treating disease without drugs. It is a pseudoscience. No, it is similar to osteopathy but far superior, being the latest up-to-date method of treating disease by the natural method. Okay, whatever. Alright, so here we go. Strength and Health magazine. Started in 1932 from Bob Hoffman. Bob Hoffman was born in the United States in 1898, and he owned the York Barbell Company. He also produced magazines and supplements, and he coached the American Olympic weightlifting team for 32 years, and he founded the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. Now, this is one of the earliest magazines devoted to fitness and bodybuilding, and it was published for 54 years. Supermen. Scram, runt. Physical training in the service. Have you a home gymnasium? Why, yes I do, Wib Scharsberger. The Thinker. He was very muscular for just sitting around thinking. Hey, cartoons. Facts, Not Theories by Ray Van Cleef. And a sword. Hey, what do you want from me? Making Mighty Men. Whoa, he has no face! That's weird! The Big Chest Book. It's a book all about big chests. Alright, now we'll look at this. Your Physique by Joe Weider. Joe Weider was born in Canada in 1919. He founded the International Federation of Bodybuilders, created the Mr. Olympia contest, and the first sports nutrition supplement company. He was also the publisher of many bodybuilding magazines, starting with Your Physique in 1935, which was later changed to Muscle Builder and then Muscle Fitness. He also published Shape, Men's Fitness, and Flex magazine. He also brought Arnold Schwarzenegger to the United States. He mentored him, promoted him, and even helped him get into business ventures and acting. He's so happy! Coverman A. Ferrero of Bordeaux, France, from a painting by George Quaintance. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Developing the serratus magnus muscles. Developing the grumpy old man. More martial arts? Judo, Part 3. I know what that is. That's the Judo Chop. Joe Weider was a bodybuilder. Taxi. And then we get to the magazines I started buying. This one was from 1990, January, so I was still 15 at this point. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was born in Austria in 1947. He was the youngest ever Mr. Universe at the age of 20, and he was the youngest ever Mr. Olympia at the age of 23, and he would win that title for 7 times. After becoming the world's most famous and successful bodybuilder, He was a millionaire by the age of 30 as a business entrepreneur outside of the world of bodybuilding, mostly in real estate. Then he became the most successful actor in the world, and later the governor of California. And he's also the chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. Arnold read a magazine called Der Muskelbilder. Then I got this magazine in January of 1993. Oh, probably the best picture in all these books and magazines. Hey, we look ridiculous! And I got Iron Man from May of 1994, a month after I turned 20. This is a magazine founded in 1936 by a weightlifter named Perry Rader. This guy is Roland Kickinger. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, he would go on to be on a Howard Stern TV show called Son of the Beach. But he also played Arnold in a TV movie about where it's called Run, Arnold, Run, and it's about him running for governor of California, and it would have flashbacks to his youth as a bodybuilder, and he played the flashback role. That was much later after this magazine. Joe Piscopo from Saturday Night Live. Arnold's mustache. It's weird. I remember thinking this was like the coolest picture ever. And I think that's my favorite picture of Mike Menser. I want to do the exercise that gives you a gorilla head. Looks like a head on a table. Where's your neck? Muscle and Fitness and Flex present Arnold Schwarzenegger, the icon, from June of 1994. So now I was starting to get magazines a lot in this year. Lou Ferrigno, The Incredible Hulk. Jeff Goldblum from The Fly. Just kidding. Pam Anderson. Just kidding. I remember thinking that was like the perfect photo of the Incredible Hulk, even though it's Arnold. In the mid-90s, I did have this poster on my garage wall. It's this painting here. So this photo, he's showing his calf, but, I mean, look at the tiny little waist, and then it just like a balloon coming out. Arnold, did you drop the weights on your toes? Pretty cool. I remember when that movie came out. I didn't know who Kirk Douglas was. I didn't know really who Arnold Schwarzenegger was. I didn't know who Anne Margaret was. But I remember that movie. Then Muscle and Fitness. September of 1994. Big year for magazines. I remember this guy, Manfred Hoberl, with the largest arms in the world, 25.5 inches. I remember Lee Priest. Don't know why his pants are off. Flex magazine, also from September 1994. Guess I couldn't get enough that month. I remember this issue well. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, I say it was a big year, big month for these bodybuilding magazines, but I was also getting all of the martial arts magazines at the time, and probably several other magazines as well. This was a big time for magazines. In fact, this was the year leading up to my daughter being born the following April. So here in September, she would have been, a fetus. And this is all I did was just read magazines round the clock. So here he is, Paul Dillette. He was the heaviest bodybuilder since Lou Ferrigno. I remember there was an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where they had kind of like a gimmick. They cast a extremely tall basketball player to play a Klingon that is on a shuttlecraft, and I remember thinking, okay, now you need to cast Paul Dillette as this extremely muscular Klingon. Never happened. Mutant. Beef bots. Mutant. Beef bots. That's Saturn, not a mutant. Yeah, I think I remember that picture. See, there's Paul Dillette again. Another one with the pants down. I mean, I wish I had thighs that look like that, but I keep my pants up. Iron Man, January 1995. I remember going to the gas station and buying this, and when I got to the register, the guy that was checking this out said, "Oh, is this going to be the next you?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, "Well, you already look better than him. Look, you can see his ribs. He's a wimp." That guy was dumb. That's Dorian Yates, by the way. I'm sure he meant it as a compliment. So that was him at 21 years old. January 1995. That would be a few months before I turned 21. I didn't look like that, though. Nor did I look like that. I didn't even look like that. Is that Todd McFarlane? Kidding. Iron Man, May of 1995. This was one of my favorite issues. So John Grimmick was the first Mr. Universe. I remember my friend Sean looking at this magazine with me and saying, "Now you see, I wouldn't mind looking like that. That's like just like a normal guy." And I said, "Well, this is him." And he goes, "Oh, that's not normal." Steve Reeves, check out the hair. Steve Reeves, the bodybuilding Elvis. Hercules. That's a cool, like, beatnik style, awesome look. I thought that was a pretty neat pose. Muscle Mags, Schwarzenegger, Special Collector's Edition from June of 1997. As you've never seen him. Yeah, I'd never think I'd see him on that upholstery with that wallpaper and that rug. There's so many patterns. I always liked that picture of Arnold with the dogs in a tank top. Very cool. One of the best Arnold photos. In school, in flip-flops, and check out those pants. Oh, that shirt. You know, I had a membership to Gold's Gym in 1992, and they were selling shirts with those laces, and I always wanted to get one, but I couldn't afford it. I think it was $30 at the time. And now I can afford it, but I can't find them. 1992, that was 30 years ago. Another cool photo of Arnold. Arnold in his youth. Finally, the final issue. Finally, the final. Muscle Mag presents Arnold Schwarzenegger, Spring 2010. I had actually returned to my original martial arts school back at this time, and this magazine was on the shelf, and it was a real throwback to the early to mid-90s for me. Arnold as a skinny kid with Fred Mertz pants. It's kind of the look I think I'm trying to go for nowadays. I wish. Oh my god, it's a fold-out poster of that awesome image. It's this one. I'm going to have to pull this out. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to pull this out and frame it. I always loved this picture of Franco Columbu. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, I don't live in the gym. I don't take steroids. Don't look like a giant bodybuilder. But I like exercising, and I think this stuff's pretty cool. So, until next time.